need a black belt. Self-defense is not a sport or an activity. It is self-preservation. Self-preservation depends on your ability to perform simple tasks under extraordinary conditions. To do that, you need the plan plus decide plus act equals survival, or PDAS formula. The 60-minute Self-Defense for the People program gives you that plan, tells you when to decide, and then shows you how to act. In the end, you survive. It's that simple. In just 60 minutes, you will have a clear understanding of what you need to survive and escape from even the most determined, violent attacker. The 60-minute Self-Defense for the People program will give you the tools you need. Simply watch the video and implement the drills and mind-setting techniques on your worksheets. You only need to go through the drills a handful of times. These drills, combined with your natural will to survive, will give you that power in your greatest time of need. At the Self-Defense Company, self-defense is not a lifetime endeavor. It is a necessary life skill. We hope that you are never placed in a life or death situation, but if you are, you will have the knowledge and the skill to survive and get home safe. Thank you for taking the time to consider the Self-Defense Company's 60-minute Self-Defense for the People. Together, we will make our communities safe.
The goal is not to win, but it's not to lose. Self-defense equals self-preservation. All you need to do is prolong the assault, create an opening to escape. Do not expect to become instant ninja in 4 lessons or even 40 lessons. Just be difficult enough to make the would-be assailant pick someone else. What you should expect from this program is, number 1, the understanding of what is in your control and how to become a tough target. It means you have to develop a plan, decrease your exposure, decrease your vulnerability, recognize when you're about to make an unnecessary risk, and you pay attention to your instincts. Number 2, how to use technology to increase your survivability. Number 3, basic strikes, gouges, and of course biting. Remember, empty hand techniques always come last. The order of importance is, number 1, avoidance. Number 2, technology. And number 3, empty hand. Remember, empty hand, no matter how romantic it is the lowest rung on the ladder of self-defense and close combat.
Right, so to watch people literally go from nothing to, I mean, you're talking 25 hours of training total, to being lethal, to get home to their family, man, there's nothing that touches that.
Today I got with me Cheryl Ilov. How you doing, Cheryl?
I'm doing great, Daniel. How are you?
Doing well. For anyone who is watching, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I am an author, a speaker. I'm a podcaster. I am a physical therapist. I like to call myself a recovering physical therapist because I'm definitely not traditional. And I also am a martial artist. I am a 2nd-degree black belt in an ancient Japanese martial art called Ninpo Taijutsu. And I did not go willingly. I started my training at the tender young age of 47. And it took my teacher, my sensei, 3 years to convince me to get on the mat and take some classes with him. My teacher was my acupuncturist long before he became my sensei. And the very first time I went to him for a treatment, I was 44 years old. And, we had a long conversation, what my needs were, got on the table. When he started putting needles in my legs, he got a very far away look on his face. And he said, with your legs and my coaching, I could teach you how to kill with these things. And I couldn't believe that anybody would actually talk like that or think like that, let alone say it out loud. And I thought, okay, where's my purse and my keys? I got to get out of here. But I was literally pinned to the table and I couldn't leave unless I wanted to go running down the street with needles sticking out all over me. So that is basically what launched my martial arts experience. And that's basically who I am and what I do.
All right. So you said, what was the name of that martial art style?
It's called Nimpo Tai Jitsu. It's kind of like it's obscure, fairly obscure martial art. And it is based on the art of the ninja and the samurai.
Okay. So a lot of martial arts seem to have a lot of the same things in it. It might be called a little bit different. For instance, everybody knows a karate chop, a jujitsu chop. It's all the same chop. But could you tell us a little bit about what makes that style that you do different or unique?
It's a little bit softer. It's considered a softer art. We don't have a lot of the strikes are, I don't want to say are softer. We use a lot more taking the attacker's balance, taking their weight, getting underneath them, using our structure to be able to destroy theirs. We do a lot of sweeps, joint locks, chokes, that type of thing, throws, and we don't really kick them that much. I mean, we have some kicks and strikes that we use, but we like to say that in our art that we don't want to have to work that hard to do those fancy kicks, that we wait until we take them down and then we kick them until we feel better.
Kick them till we feel better. I like that. That's good. So it seems to me like, based on what you're saying, it's similar to, would it be similar to like Aikido or, I don't know.
Yeah,
something similar to that.
I think it'd be similar to Aikido, maybe, traditional jujitsu. There's a little bit of like judo mixed in with it type of style. Believe it or not, I've been doing martial arts now for 17 years, and I'm not that familiar with a lot of the other styles, except for karate and taekwondo. Interestingly enough, my father had a black belt in karate. And when, I have 4 sisters, and when we were kids and I was still living at home, my father kept trying to get us to come and to work out with him at the gyms to teach us some skills. And of course it was like, ew, no, why would we ever do that? But this style has it has almost a sensuous quality to it until you get taken down. We're ninjas. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because when Mark, my sensei, used to talk about, we're ninjas and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, right. How old are you? That type of thing. It's like, come on now. But it's just embracing some of the principles of the ninja, being a little bit more, below the radar, being a little bit sneaky, being very unpretentious. And, we don't compete. We don't do competitions or anything like that. If we compete, the only person we compete with is with ourselves. So our goal is just to be able to go home. And, we're the ones that, like your wonderful videos got me all excited at the very beginning of the show. But our goal is just to survive and to live to see another day. A lot of people, we consider ourselves warriors, and we have the spirit of the warrior, which is something that we're working on as we train, as well as the physical techniques. But being a warrior doesn't mean that you are looking for conflict or violence or warfare. We love peace and harmony. We love nature. All we want to do is to be able to take care of ourselves, our families, our communities, and make the world a better place. As long as you don't cross the line, because we do have strong boundaries.
Okay, awesome. That's very cool. One of the things that I really like about it, that you mentioned, is the sneaky part.
Mhm.
When you talk about, or when I do, anyways, I don't want to speak for you. Uh, when we talk about martial arts and we talk about self defense, there's a lot of gray area in between it, and the reason behind it. And correct me if you believe I'm wrong. Is because there's several aspects of business model and tradition that's mixed in it, and then in order to have student retention, in the traditional sense of a business and stuff like that, there's little bitty aspects of it that may or may not be essential for self-defense. It's a little bit more complex, and self-defense is a little bit more simplex, so to speak. What would you say on that?
Mhm. I totally agree. Absolutely. And we talk about some of the other schools, their focus is on teaching skills, basic skills to their students, but to help them get to a black belt in maybe like a year or two, which is great, but you don't really have the kind of skill set that you might need for, a martial artist. You can take care of yourself. You can certainly do some self-defense techniques. And to me, that's probably the most important thing, especially for a woman or somebody who is of smaller stature, or even, someone who's a little bit older. Just having some basic self-defense skills is so important for anybody and everybody to learn. But as you said, we go a lot deeper into it. We go deeper into the history of the art, the philosophy of the art. We go into the spirit of it, and it is almost like a spiritual practice as you're learning the physical aspect of it as well. But yeah, you're right, that classical business model and the classical martial art model kind of sometimes it's not that compatible sometimes.
Yeah, I understand. And the thing that I want all the viewers to watch, because when they see my episodes and they see, one of my first episode that I had with this, I had a business consultant. Then the next one I had a baker, and then I had a firearms trainer. And the one that's going to air Monday is a bodybuilder. It's not
Mhm,
all about, my channel is not always going to be self-defense related. It's about living, because
mhm,
self-defense it means self-preservation, right?
mhm,
And when we talk about self-preservation, that means we got to talk about all the aspects of it. And
mhm,
when we talk about all the aspects of it, that mentions the business that we're just
mhm,
talking about. It mentions the traditions that we just talked about,
mhm,
and the simplicity that I'm about to bring up. Um, I almost joined a ninjutsu school that's about 30 minutes away from me.
mhm,
It's very interesting. I would love to do that. I'm not going to tell anybody not to. I think anything. But I spent many years, and I got a black belt in traditional karate, right?
mhm,
And then I went and did bounty hunting. I got my bail
mm,
bonds license, and I went and I did that. And the tradition of the karate arts, the martial arts, um, seemed to be a little bit too much for the street. If I was fighting somebody and we were both in the same style, you know, it kind of goes into a sport mode, right?
mhm,
Um, but in the real world, when you got somebody who's just out of prison or whatever, and they don't want to go
yeah,
back, it didn't work out for me. So I
mhm,
got with Damian Ross, is who you seen at the beginning of this,
mhm,
and I started taking his classes and stuff like that, and it broke it down into the most simplest part, and it took all the traditions out.
mhm,
But as you see in the videos, he still does a lot of the knife hand chops,
mhm,
uh, and stuff like that. There's a lot of the same stuff in it. It's just broken down, and the tradition is moved.
mhm,
Um, but to give you something to talk about when it comes to the point I'm trying to make here
mhm,
is, let's think of a pyramid, right? The bottom is your base. I would like your thoughts on this. For me, the base is your will to survive, right? Then the next layer would be your knowledge base. How
Mm-hmm.
do I strategically come up with a plan and enact it? And
Mm-hmm.
then the very smallest part is your kit, which would be
Mm-hmm.
your force multipliers, like your. And I'm not a ninja, okay? So you correct
It's
me.
okay.
But
Yeah.
would be your sword, your shuriken, and whatever. When it comes to self defense, what do you think about that pyramid?
Well, as far as self-defense, I would have to say, yes, that's absolutely right. But we like to say in our art, we would have like that pyramid. And then at the very peak of the pyramid, we start to go in the opposite direction. So we always talk about, you're getting your basics and you've got all of this information. And especially when you're studying the type of art that I was studying or I am studying, um, there's so much to learn and it's really overwhelming. So you've got all of these tools and all of these things to work with, but you don't know really what to do with them. And then all of a sudden, it's like all of this information as you continue to train, you go up that pyramid and you're like, wow, all of this is interrelated. So it's not like all of this information, it's all the basic same principles that kind of just narrow up, and you work on refining your skills and tuning them to the point where your skills are almost like at the very peak, the tip of the sword, basically. And then it's like, well, that's really kind of cool. And then you take all of this stuff that and you expand it a little bit more and play with it. I mean, we're all about movement and all about exploring how we can be better, not only as martial artists, better people in every aspect of our lives. And I really loved how you said at the beginning of this segment of the conversation about how you talk to, a bodybuilder, a baker, a business expert. To me, all of those, professions and all of those activities are basically martial arts. It's all of how you look at it. So you can be that baker. You want to find you've got the basics, and then you fine tune it to this incredible skill that you're the best baker that you could possibly be. But even though you are so good and you're an expert at it, there's still more that you can do. You can still progress. There's never an end to the journey. There's never an end to that lifelong learning in anything that you're doing.
Right. I like to tell my kids that there's no such thing as perfection,
Mm-hmm.
but that's that desire and that strive for perfection that's important.
Exactly.
And I think that's everything that we do, especially things that we're passionate about, which
Mm-hmm.
usually it's the things that we're passionate about that we do that the most. It's the
Mm-hmm.
things that we don't really want to do. We're kind of forced to do, like getting a job and paying bills.
Yeah.
That we don't seem to put all our effort in.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking about effort, you are or was or something like that a physical therapist. Is that correct? Or
That is
no,
correct.
no. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Actually, I like to call myself, I'm a therapist squared, because my first career, I was a respiratory therapist. So that was, in hospital, acute care, life support equipment, critical care, emergency room, resuscitation team, and worked with patients all the way from neonatals, pediatric, up to geriatric. I mean, it was quite the experience. So I did that for 17 years, and then I ended up going back to school and getting my master's degree in physical therapy. So I'm a therapist squared.
Awesome. So if you didn't put all your when you were doing all that stuff, if you didn't put all your effort into that, you would essentially cause more trouble, more harm than good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to do, yeah. Yes, when you're managing life support equipment, you better be paying, really good attention. You better be at the top of your game, and there's really no room for slacking.
Right. So to kind of tie this back into the martial arts is martial means military and art means art, right? I mean, it's theatrics. For my style, which is a Japanese art, and same as yours, I know my kids, they do Taekwondo or did do Taekwondo, and they would call what I would normally call a kata, they call it forms.
Mm-hmm.
that part is the theatrics. That's part's the kind of like shadow boxing kind of deal. But the military part, that's where, you kind of get into it. And if you think about it as a military art, everything that we do when it comes to self-preservation is military. The baker that I had on, they have bakers in the military. They have cooks in the military. The bodybuilder, that's your PT. That's your drill sergeant right there. So it all ties in. It all ties in. And, if you're really good at something, you're going to have a little bit of confidence, and that promotes you a little bit as a hard target if you're confident. And that's one of the first levels of self-defense. What do you think about confidence and self-defense? How do you tie that together?
Oh gosh, absolutely. And the one thing that drives me absolutely crazy is when I see women, especially women, walking around with their face in their cell phone, not paying attention to their surroundings. I mean, that is the first rule of self-defense, is awareness. Be aware of your environment. Look people in the eye. Make sure that you're paying attention. And then, like you said, even in the video, predators are looking for an easy target. Don't be an easy target. And if you're standing tall, if you're looking confident, even if you aren't, if you're looking confident, you're going to be less of a target. If you're looking people in the eye, and even if you practice those simple techniques of walking very, with a purpose, looking people in the eye, not having your phone in your hand, right then, that is going to give you a certain level of confidence, and you can actually take it from there. So there's a lot of things that you can do even without, going to, like I did, hanging out in a smelly dojo for 17 years. A lot of women don't want to do that, and I don't blame them, but it was fun for me and it's worked out so far. But yeah, you have to get some kind of training. I beg of you, if you're listening to this, just get some self-defense training. And please don't just take one class or one program and think, aha, I've got it now. Even as a second-degree black belt in this Japanese martial art, I still take self-defense classes every now and again. Number one, just to see what other people are doing, to see if there's something else, that I could learn, which there always is. And it just expands my basket of tools that I have just in case the unthinkable happens.
Absolutely. You nailed it. I appreciate that. That was kind of like a sales pitch for me. And I appreciate
you're welcome.
That. Man. Yeah. So you mentioned something that I feel, I feel really firm about this. You said, don't take one thing, don't take, to expand your knowledge. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where the MMA stuff comes in. And, there's some people that are like, and I'm one of them. I can't really knock others for this because I believe this well. Is like martial arts is not self-defense, and self-defense is not martial arts. And the reason I say that is it's like if I'm a runner, I'm going out there every single day and I'm running and training for this marathon. I've never ran a marathon in my life. Right now, I'm just a runner. It's not until after I do my first marathon, that's an actual marathon, that I can say I'm a marathon runner. Right. So, there's a difference. There's the training aspect, and then there's, okay, now I'm a warrior, and when you're doing the self-defense stuff, we like to keep it simple because there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes in combat. That's a scary word, combat, for a lot of people. The psychological part is this: your body has a natural reaction. Okay. And it's, our system is based on that. All the fine motor skill stuff that you do in, I'm not going to knock anybody, but as simple as a wrist grab. Okay. I can't think of his name. But there's this guy that they see on the internet all the time. He's Detroit Urban Tactics, whatever. He's a dude. He's got an earpiece on. People make memes of him all the time. I so bad want him on this show just so I can be like, what are you doing? You're going to get people killed. Because those wrist grabs and he's telling people to grab guns by the
Oh,
barrel, that stuff, it's good in Hollywood. And you know what? It could, he says something. I get tongue tied here. I got so many things. Let me slow myself down. The wrist grab, when you're in a combat situation, when you're in a fight or flight situation, your mind starts to go into survival mode. That means all your little fine motor skills goes out the window. Your hearing goes away, not all the way, but it goes down, and then you get into what's called tunnel vision, right? And you start to pull blood from your extremities into your most vital organs. Because of all of that, you may not be able to grab a barrel of a gun and do all this stuff, which would be silly, in my opinion, anyways, because the gun didn't do anything to you. It's the person holding it.
right. Exactly.
Thank you. The thing about, and I kind of got off topic, and I hate that. I can't remember where I was going with this. The thing about, the psychological part of self-defense is you got to keep it simple for that specific reasoning alone.
Well, I totally agree with you. I just can't imagine that anybody, or why anybody would say, well, grab the barrel of a gun. It's like, whoa, that's just kind of like, again, what are you telling these people to do? We have a lot of really fancy techniques that we play with, but when it comes right down to it, it's not those fancy techniques that are going to save us in a situation if we did need to use something to protect ourselves for self-defense. It's the very basics of what we learned before it got to learning those fancy techniques. As martial artist, it's just kind of expanding on that and exploring different movement patterns. But like you said, you just got to keep it simple, because that skill is already in you. You were born with that skill, that self-preservation. But
Yes.
as life goes on and we get more and more comfortable and more lax in, our awareness of our surroundings, and we get more, oh, hey, look at that shiny object over there, or, oh, hey, look, my phone went off. I've got to answer this call or see who's calling, no matter what's going on. You have got to just go back to the basics, pay attention to your surroundings, and pay attention to that gut feeling, that intuition, and start to really read other people's body language and learn to realize what your body language is telling other people. And then learn how to do a few good strikes, hits, targets, practice it, and boom, you're good to go.
Absolutely. You speak my language right there. You really do. I appreciate you speaking about that. And I'm not going to knock this guy too hard, okay, especially because he's not on here, but maybe I say something in his defense here, which that was a pun not intended actually. But right. So this guy, at the end of his little videos, he always says, this will increase your survivability. That's exactly right, though. It will, because any action will increase your survivability. You might not survive. Even if you know everything there is to know about self-defense or fighting or anything like that, you could still get beat. If you're a wrestler and you're the best wrestler there is, you can still get pinned. If you're, so he is right. It could increase your survivability if you do anything, though. Action is better than not.
Than freezing. Yeah. And we have a saying when we're working with weapons and, disarming, which, we don't grab the gun, but we practice different disarming techniques. But Sensei will always say, what you have to understand is if the person has a knife, you're going to get cut.
Yes.
If the person has a gun, you're going to get shot. You have to understand that this is possibly, this is going to be a possible outcome. Accept that and just deal with it.
I have said that so many times. It's funny because we didn't talk about this before
No.
recording this. There was absolutely no talking about this. I've said those exact same words. That was amazing to hear someone else say it. Yes. So the thing that you have to get into, you have to program this into your mind,
Mhm.
is, if you're defending your life, it's because you just came face to face with violence, and
Mhm.
that violence, now that you can't say, "Hey, please go away."
Yeah, because that's not going to work.
Right? It's not going to work. So you're going to have to, you have to match violence with even more violence,
Mhm.
and your course of action has to outdo theirs. So there's
Mhm.
three things that we focus on for us. I wonder if it matches where y'all are,
Mhm.
when it comes to the combative part: um, positioning, balance, and momentum. What do you think?
Absolutely. We're more, positioning, distancing, and weight. To us, balance, which is balance. Taking somebody's balance is so important, and it doesn't mean that you have to take their balance and knock them over right away. But it's a lot of things can put an attacker off balance. The person who stands there and pulls a gun on you or does whatever, they have they have in their mind, they know what you're going to do and how you're going to respond. You're probably going to freeze. You're probably going to beg for your life. There's certain things that, they know you're going to do. But if you do something that's unexpected, like even something so stupid like cluck like a chicken, that's not
Right.
what they're expecting.
Right.
So, if somebody grabs me in public, if I'm walking down the street and nobody else is around and they grab me, they have an agenda and they know what the outcome is going to be, that this is my response. I'm going to beg for my life. I'm going to be really scared. I'm going to freeze. And when I just, elbow to the gut, do a foot stamp, punch him in the face, and then always finish it with a good groin strike. This is not what he's expecting. He's
Right.
expecting me to be terrified. And, so if you just have the reaction, if the first reaction is not what the person expects, you've already taken their balance.
Right. So it's basically like you're just, these are just tools, just like a
Right.
sword or a gun, right?
Right. Right.
Um, and the real weapon is here. So whoever
Mm-hmm.
has the most powerful weapon
Mm-hmm.
is who's most likely going to survive this altercation. Um, but when you mentioned, if you have a gun, you might get shot. If you're facing a knife, you might get stabbed, or cut. There was this. I don't know where it came from. Maybe I read it in a book. I can't. I can't give credit to whoever came up with this, but it's like if you have two tigers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of them's starving and one of them just ate, but there's meat there in between them. They're going to fight over the meat regardless, most
Mm-hmm.
likely. One of them is going to be really badly hurt, and the other one's going to be uh, probably dead.
Right. Right.
That's how I explain it to my students. It's you're fighting for a piece of meat. It's
Mm-hmm.
who wants it more,
Mm-hmm.
that might survive. So you talked before the show about books that you have. You're an author as well.
I am an author, and it still surprises me sometimes when I wake up and it's like, oh, hey, I've written 2 books, and I've got a couple more that I'm working on. But my first book is Forever Fit and Flexible. It's over on this shoulder, Feeling Fabulous at 50 and Beyond. And that's basically a combination of, it's not about, how to get in shape and go to the gym 3 times a week. It's not like that. It's more for the, over 40 crowd, of how to start working smarter, not harder. And it's based on a lot of the things that I learned as when I went from being a chronic pain patient when I was in my mid 30s for 2.5 miserable years to a physical therapist in private practice, and learning all of the techniques that helped me heal myself from that chronic pain syndrome after the medical profession had written me off as a lost cause. I would never recover from the pain. And so those techniques I used in my private practice that I had for 18 years. I never taught my clients. I didn't have patients, I had clients, and I never fixed them. I taught them how to heal themselves. So basically, I was empowering them through movement of how to heal themselves from all kind of aches, pains, and problems that they were having. So I just decided to put it all in a book and publish that. Oh my gosh, 5.5 years ago. My other book that will be coming out in a couple of weeks, hopefully, fingers crossed, is The Reluctant Ninja: How a Middle-Aged Princess Became a Warrior Queen. And that chronicles my journey into the wild and crazy world of, men and martial arts, this little middle-aged aging ballet dancer, princess. Yeah, it was just a crazy journey. It was really it has everything in it. I mean, it has a lot of humor, it has a lot of heartache, it has a lot of tragedy, it has a lot of triumph. It's just one of those stories that I really hope will inspire people to understand that, number one, they can heal from anything, and number two, there is an incredible amount of strength, power, and the warrior spirit in each and every one of us. We just have to find a way to release it and use it to help us get through the tough times in life.
Amateur move there. Had my mic on mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's really cool. Is there anywhere, like, when it does release, that they can go and get their hands on this book?
Absolutely. It will be on Amazon, and you can go to my website, which is just simply CherylIlov.com. And I do have a books page there. So the book is listed on the website, but of course there's no link yet because it hasn't been officially published. But you can sign up for my newsletter, and then you could find out too, as soon as it's released, I will be announcing it on the newsletter. And if you do sign up for my newsletter, you have access to 3 audio recordings, and they are meditation through movement lessons. So little explorations that last about 20 minutes long. So I do something else. I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner, which is it's a very sophisticated form of neuromuscular reeducation, basically learning how to move easily, by exploring different movement patterns, not straining our muscles and our joints and not trying to kill ourselves. So it's very therapeutic. And the fact that I can't meditate myself, I'm not someone who can sit there and meditate, but I can do it through movement. So for other people who can't sit still and just do the meditation thing, if that doesn't work for you, try the meditation through movement, because it really gives you another option.
Yeah, I used to. We had to do that a lot when I was going through the ranks in karate, which I did Wado-Ryu. And Wado-Ryu was my instructor. He kind of went away from the federation, and he was a gloves boxer, so he had a little bit of that in there, and he had a little bit of Tai Chi in there. And
that's good.
Yeah, I was into the whole Tai Chi stuff, and I was like getting into the whole mysticism stuff, and I kind of fell away from it. But I do see there is something that people can benefit from it. One of my favorite movies growing up was Bloodsport. It had Jean-Claude Van Damme in it, and it was based off of a real life encounter, or not encounter, but a real life story of a guy named Frank Dukes. And he broke like in the movie there was a stack of bricks, right? And in order to and then there was a brick at the very bottom. He was supposed to punch through. He's supposed to punch the bricks, but not break anything but the bottom one. And I was like, man, that's so cool. So when I heard about Tai Chi, I thought that might be it. It didn't work for me. I tried to do that. It didn't work.
Whoops. Did you break anything, like your hand?
No. You can toughen your body.
Absolutely.
You have to have a method behind it. And we teach that. It's in one of our modules with the self-defense company. It's body conditioning, but it's not like that. You can't punch, or I can't. I'd love to see someone who could punch a bunch of bricks and only break the one selected. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do believe it's possible, but it's definitely not on my to-do list.
I just need to be able to break the first one.
I don't even want that. I'm, we're ninjas. We just walk away from the brick.
That's a good point. Or for me, it'd be more like running.
Yeah, there you go. Right, exactly.
Or use a taser.
Yeah, that works too.
Oh man. So is there anything you would like to? You mentioned your website. I went to your website earlier. I was trying to find some stuff about you and add to the show. But is there anything on there that you would like to introduce people to?
Not really, just the books page. I do have a blog, and I blog about, I've had a blog since 2011, if you can believe that. And I still am, writing a blog probably just once or twice a month. So not as prolifically as I was before, because when you're writing books, you just, it comes to a blog, it's like, oh, what am I going to say now? But I have some fun stuff on it. There's a lot of things about martial arts and self-defense, like, thrown in. And I actually even have recipes. I started another category about a year or so ago, Cheryl's Kitchen, because I was so bored with, cooking things, it was COVID and can't go out anywhere. And I thought, just put some of these simple recipes on a blog, make it easy for people. So yeah, it's just one of those fun things.
Awesome. All right. Well, it was really nice having you on the show. I'd like to have you back on sometime. But
thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being on. You have a great day, and we'll catch you later.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
That was very interesting. I really enjoyed having her on. If y'all are interested in her website, CherylIlov.com. I believe that's what she said. If I'm wrong, rewind this, go back and listen to it again. So we talked about a whole lot of stuff. We talked about self-defense. We talked about her books and talked about her history. And we got along with a lot of the stuff. I didn't think we would with, the ninja stuff, because when you think about ninja stuff, you think about the movies and they're all in masks running around like Ninja Turtles, which is my favorite. You think about that, but in real life, that's just what we think about it. In real life, there's other concepts that we can imply, that we can use that in real life. And just kind of jumping off of that and getting into the self-defense part, when we talk about utilizing any kind of style, if you remember, we mentioned that doing something is better than not doing anything at all. And I guess credit to the guy, I can't remember his name, that will increase your survivability. This is Daniel Cothron signing off. Have a good day. God bless. Be safe out there.
This is Kevin. Despite being seriously injured, Kevin used a very specific close combat tactic called the forward drive to fend off an attacker at a parking garage. Now, more than ever, you need to be prepared to fight back, and you can either be a sitting target or your attacker's worst nightmare. My name is Damian Ross, creator of the Self-Defense Training System, and over the last 30 years, I've compiled the most practical close combat methods based on the tactics perfected by elite commandos in World War II. This system is based on reaction and instinct and can be learned and implemented in less than 60 minutes. Unlike most martial arts that can take years to master and may be vastly ineffective the minute you leave the dojo, my system leverages your fight or flight instinct, which means it's easy to learn and even harder to forget. You can swing a bat or kick a ball, you can do this. And if you want to really be able to protect yourself and your loved ones when you're out in this crazy world, or when that crazy world kicks in your front door, just click the button to check out my 60-minute self-defense program now. You can get instant access to the online program for a ridiculously low price. And if you order today, I'll also give you 3 incredible bonuses absolutely free. So go ahead and click on the button, and I'll see you on the other side.